Thank you for staying with us. Now, the leadership of both the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian University, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, have directed their members across universities and inter-university center campuses nationwide to withdraw services beginning from March 18th on Monday. According to a memo signed by the National President of SANU, Muhammad Ibrahim, and the General Secretary of NASU, Peters Adeyemi, and addressed to the branches of the unions dated Friday, March 15th, the 7-day industrial action is in fulfillment of the earlier threat and ultimatum issued to the Nigerian government by the unions over the unpaid, withheld salaries of their members. The unions blamed the Nigerian government for allowing the matter to degenerate, querying the justification for the payment of the withheld salaries of the members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, but decided to leave out their members. To more security stories, the Action Aid of Nigeria has raised an alarm over the rising insecurity in the country, which is now directly affecting women and children in the country. The group, while reviewing the current state of women and children in Nigeria, says that this is being catalyzed by the hardship being faced by citizens, which has led to many women, especially in rural communities, losing their businesses. Amadin Uyi reports.
With Nigeria's inflation rates currently at 31.70, as stated by the nation's National Bureau of Statistics, the hardship being faced by citizens is at an all-time high. The Action Aid of Nigeria, which has an objective to reduce poverty across the country, says that women are mostly affected as economic and financial difficulties are now affecting their businesses.
Economic downturn has led to setbacks to the gains made by development partners in empowering women across Nigeria, with many women-owned businesses shutting down due to financial difficulties.
While speaking in Abuja during a session to review the challenges women and children face in the country, those present at this meeting say gender inequalities and hardship is rising as all aspects of their lives are now being affected.
You can wake up in the morning thinking of what you are going to put in the table for your children to eat. You will be thinking of your children's school fees. You'll be thinking of where are you going to start?
Abin da gwamnati yake yi muna ba mu ji daɗi a karakarar Najeriya ba, saboda wahala ya yi yawa muna mu mata, mu kuma mata mu ne masu sha wahala a gida, mu ne yara mu ne gida, in ba mata ba a gida, komai yanzu ya sauka muna a cikin wahala, komai ya zama sada, abincin da muka saya da naira 200 za mu ci shi har kwana 2 da yaranmu.
They are calling on government to live up to its responsibilities, saying the current hardship is now increasing insecurity of women and girls, as crime rate is evidently on the rise.
According to a survey carried out by Action Aid Nigeria in some communities to ascertain the weight of the current situation on women and children, most respondents said that the rate of crime, that is killings, stealing and kidnapping, has increased.
For now, if you are inside your house, you are not secure. In your farm, you are not secure. Everywhere, even as we are here now, we are not secure. So we have to think of that one and know how to think of where are we going.
The Action Aid is also calling on citizens to collaborate through innovative ways to improve the lives of women and children in the country. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Stakeholders in Nigeria have called for reforms of the Nigerian police, saying citizen-centered policing must be the objective. Now, this was as they met in Abuja, where they rated the performance of the police low in terms of service delivery to the public, thereby calling for reforms that will meet the yearnings of the public. Again, Amadin Uyi reports.
It was an appraisal of the state of policing in Nigeria with a focus on citizen-centered policing. This workshop, organized by the Clean Foundation, review the conduct of police personnel in the country in the light of their obligations to the public.
While we're talking about policing, we must be mindful of the fact that it's the duty of the police to provide internal security. But what we have at the moment is the military being encouraged to provide internal security, which is not the right thing to do and it's not in the right direction.
Marginalized groups, including women, young persons and children, people with disabilities, as well as the poor and powerless, experience poor service, neglect, or even abuse at the hands of personnel of NPF that are meant to protect them. Such experiences, especially against women, are exacerbated by the larger societal gender stereotypes that create rigid ideas about the roles and expectations of men and women, which sadly are being reproduced by public institutions like the police in Nigeria.
Stakeholders say reforms are apt to improve policing in Nigeria, calling for efforts to ensure that the Nigeria police meets the yearnings of the public.
These realities erode public confidence and trust in NPF and calls for urgent measures. Rebuilding confidence and trust in the police will require several measures, including gender mainstreaming, gender responsiveness, gender transformative approach, and gender sensitivity.
We're pushing for a police that is effective and efficient, a police that will serve the purpose where we need to have police in place. And so this conversation is a large conversation, it's a big conversation, it's a conversation that all of us need to share our experiences and knowledge.
We must have a police sector driven that is human rights driven, and we must also interrogate the architectural security architecture that will place the police among the people, within the people, and serving the people and not just serving the ego of any other person.
With Nigeria grossly underpoliced, security stakeholders are calling for reforms that can help the Nigeria police live up to its full responsibilities. They say there is a need to ensure that they provide adequate service to citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Thank you, Amadin Uyi, for that report. News Central now returns after this break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now we'll be going back to withheld salaries of the SANU and NASU members as they begin a 7-day nationwide strike. And we have joining me on the news to discuss this, Olushola Shoumi, immediate past acting chairman, SANU University of Lagos branch. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so yes, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Why is SANU and NASU going on strike?
The reason why we are here on strike is because the government has refused to obey or probably fulfill the part of their own agreement as mutually entered into by the union. These things have been on for some time, to the essence that we actually suspended the strike for the love and the interest of the students and Nigeria at large. But unfortunately, it's still the government has not yet, even after the past government, made some promises and very, very failed promises with so many shambolic arrangements and very disheartening that workers are not really taken into consideration. And this thing has gotten to a position that we are feeling that we are doing our own bit to ensure there's peace. Unfortunately, this has been taken for granted. Issue of peace has been taken for granted. And as a result, we don't have any options after using all means, whether political means, whether all the lobbies, everything we are doing to ensure that there is peace, that our students do not feel that impact or probably the punishment of the government on them. yet we have to go there. We are all citizens of Nigeria. 4 months of our withheld salaries are still be a question mark. Yet the government are not talking about it. Also, there is renegotiation of 2009 agreement, which has not yet been fully attended to. We also have our universities do not have councils. And you know the effect of councils is as if there's no leadership. We don't have council for several months. And we are crying that the federal government should reconstitute the council, the governing council. It's affecting us. It's affecting our promotion. It's affecting us. They should do that. They should do the needful.
Okay.
Other ones to be released.
Mr.
These are some of our demands.
All right. Now, in the release directing members to embark on strike, it actually stated that, having waited patiently for the ultimatum to expire without positive response from the government. Now, what do you mean when you say without positive response? Did you get any form of response whatsoever, or was it negative?
Well, the response in this issue that affects people's life has been so political. The response is not good. It's not encouraging.
What do you mean when you say political? What do you mean when you say political?
They're not hearing anything. They just say we should just be patient. Patient to what? For about almost 2 years, 2002, 2022 to 2024. 2024, we go to the same market with others. Yet 4 months has not been paid. It's affecting us. We go to the market and there's icons of things that people are taking it very hard to eat. It's very, very hard. The situation in the country is not palatable. And it's affecting workers.
All right, but has any government official reached out to you following the intended strike? Has any government worker reached out to you, or any government official, have they reached out to you as regards the intended strike?
There's no positive response. No positive one.
So that means they've not reached out to you to say anything about the strike you intend to go on?
Yes.
All right. Now, we've also seen your association working independently, even though, SANU and NASU have reconciled now. Do you think that this may also play a major role in how the government responds to your needs?
Well, in the union, we say together we stand. And I think we are stronger when we are together. And I feel that NASU and SANU had much common interest as regarding to our working relationship. We are the ones that are the nucleus of the institution. It's just like when you say that you have a family without a working manual. We are the administrative arms of the government. We admit the students. We take care of the hostel facilities, the bookings, the security, the health centers, and others. And we have those things in common. So that's the reason why our struggle, our interests are common. And that's the reason why the government should do the needful. We are pleading to the government to do the needful. It's against our will or our wish to go on strike. No.
All right. Well, it's our hope that the government would actually reach out to you and work something out. But thank you so much, Mr. Olushola Shoumi, for joining me and speaking on this.
Thank you very much. We just want them to pay all our arrears, and they should fund the university properly. Our universities are underfunded. They promise us, one of the negotiations we enter into is that they will implement 25% increment in salaries to 35% wage increase. Since January 2023, nothing has been done. This is unfair. This is unfair.
All right, well, thank you
Because
so
of
much,
living is
Mr. Shomi, for joining me. Thank you.
we seek Nigerians for
All
assistance
right,
now.
we appreciate you. Now, away from that interview, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has directed the Onje-Eko food markets to commence operations on Sunday across the state. The markets have been tasked with selling discounted food items across the 5 divisions of Lagos. Now, the food items include rice, beans, gari, bread, eggs, tomatoes and pepper, among others, and they're to be sold at a 25% discount to residents. News Central's Bettina Ngweli reports.
Following the announcement by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu that the Onje-Eko food market will begin sales of food items at discounted prices in the 5 divisions of the state today, Sunday, March 17. According to the governor, the Sunday Market initiative was aimed at cushioning the effect of the high cost of living in the country. Expectedly, Lagosians wasted no time in flooding the various locations to buy food items at friendly prices.
We have gari, we have eggs, we have onion, we have beans, we have rice, and we have pepper and tomatoes.
What delayed us today is due to the traffic of the blocked terminal bridge. They have to go through Maryland traffic, so the vendors came late. So the people that came to buy the market, they were really complaining. But we promised them next week they will get more better than this.
Governor Sanwo-Olu had stated that the food markets would operate exclusively on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. across 57 locations in the state. The first wasn't without its hitches, as some of the food vendors turned up late. For Lagosians who turned up to take advantage of the initiative, it was a welcomed development. However, some complained that the 25% discount was not significant enough.
Lagos is working and they are trying, but it's not yet enough. They have to put more effort. Like what they are offering us now, it won't go more than how many days? Only 5 kg, 5,325 for 5 kg. The price is a bit fair, but the quantity is not enough. How many days will we consume this?
Ọlọ́run ṣeun tó bá tiẹ̀ ń wà báyìí ó bẹ́tà ó sàn ju rárá lọ torí oúnjẹ ebi ń pa àwọn èèyàn nínú ìlú ní gbogbo ìlú ebi ń pa àwọn èèyàn ṣùgbọ́n eléyìí tán bá tiẹ̀ ṣe báyẹn tó kárí á tún dínkù.
We even thought being an elite area they won't respond so much. Even elites are here.
Against the reality of the current harsh economic situation, it is apparent that patronage of the Onje-Eko food market will steadily increase in the coming weeks and months. As such, the onus now lies with the government to fine-tune the process, make it as seamless as possible, and ensure the usual corruption that rubbishes government initiatives do not hamper this one. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Ngweli.
You're watching News Central now. Coming up after the break, South Africa police arrest suspects behind blue light robberies. You have the details after the break. Join us again. The news continues in South Africa, where the police have arrested a suspect believed to be a mastermind behind blue light robberies. Now, this comes after he was found with blue lights, a traffic police uniform, a high-caliber firearm and ammunition, as well as suspected hijacked motor vehicle. Blue light robberies refer to a tactic in which criminals impersonate police officers by using blue lights to stop motorists on highways and steal from them. National Crime Intelligence shared information about a suspect who had suspectedly hijacked a motor vehicle and was a suspect to be involved in blue light robberies on freeways. In the early hours of Monday morning, the team pounced on the premises of the suspect in Dawn Park, where they found a Volkswagen Polo that was reported to be hijacked in Folkeng Northwest Province in February this year. The suspect was arrested and charged with possession of unlicensed firearms, possession of hijacked motor vehicle, and possession of ammunition, amongst other charges. South Africa's Department of Justice and Correctional Services is hosting a 3-day National Human Rights Conference. Now, the conference will assess the institutions and that are meant to uphold constitutional democracy in South Africa. The outcome of this conference is envisaged to be the baseline for benchmarking government's implementation of the social contract and highlight the importance of being aware of the worsening human rights globally. News Central's Bongani Siziba reports.
Through its history, South Africa has endured trials and tribulations, yet its people have shown remarkable resilience. Ordinary citizens have played a pivotal role in shaping the country's democracy, standing together in solidarity to demand their rights and liberties. Let's take a listen to what the Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola, had to say.
The conference aims to reflect on our journey towards equality and justice. Its aim to reinvoke the spirit of freedom fighters, and some of them are here today, but also as a reference for cross-pollination with the younger generation to plot the future of our democracy. It is crucial to remember the sacrifices made during the struggle against the oppressive apartheid regime. The tragic events in Sharpeville and Langa serve as a stark reminder of the brutality faced by the freedom fighters. Ourselves as the younger generation have got this opportunity to engage, reflect, and plot the future, like freedom fighters did during Codesa.
But amidst these challenges, the spirit of democracy burns bright in the hearts of many South Africans. Through the unity and perseverance, they strive to build a future where equality, justice, and opportunities is accessible to all.
Having faced the dark shadows of our ugly past, South Africans have shown resilience, courage, and unwavering commitment, fighting to dismantle that past and paving the way for the democratic era founded on the principles of equality, freedom, and dignity for all. In the face of adversity, South Africa and many African nations have also shown great resilience and progress in advancing human rights under democracy. The establishment of constitutional democracies, independent judiciaries, and vibrant civil societies have paved the way for greater legal protections and advocacy for human rights.
However, the road to democracy has been without its challenges. Despite progressive policies aimed at addressing disparities and unemployment, South Africa continues to grapple with systematic issues that threatens to undermine its progress.
Levels of unemployment, particularly amongst young people, exacerbate economic inequalities and hinder the full enjoyment of economic rights for many South Africans. Limited access to quality education and skills development further restricts economic opportunities, perpetuating cycles of poverty and social exclusion.
As the Human Rights Conference continues, South Africa looks ahead to overcome adversity and shape a future where human rights reigns. In Boksburg, Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
Thank you, Bongani, for that report. Now, Kenyan authorities have launched a crackdown on people who disrupted President William Ruto's political meetings in the west of the country at the weekend. It followed 2 incidents where hecklers interrupted President Ruto's rallies in Bomet and Kericho counties. The president was in the Rift Valley region, his political stronghold, to launch several projects when his rallies were disrupted as political rivalries pitting local leaders played out. The visibly irritated president said leaders fanning such chaos were affecting development projects in the area, terming the disruptions foolish. Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki on Monday directed police to immediately clamp down on the individuals behind the incidents. You're still watching News Central now. Still ahead, Vladimir Putin claims victory in Russia election. Find out more after the break. Now, in other news from around the world, Vladimir Putin has claimed victory in an election he said showed the people had trust and hope in him. Sunday was the last day of a presidential election that offered Russians no real alternatives to Putin after he ruthlessly cracked down on dissent. Early returns after the poll closed showed he is poised to extend his nearly 25-year rule until 2030, with some 87% of the vote after about 80% of precincts were counted, according to Russia's Central Election Commission. Putin went on to say that protests during the election had no effect and that any crimes will be punished after the vote.
75,932,111 избирателей проголосовали за действующего главу государства. Это также рекордный показатель. Вот мы никому ничего не хотели показывать и доказывать.
Now joining us to give us a bit more on this story is our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Hello, Afia. Now, what has been the international reaction to the re-election of Vladimir Putin? Can you tell us?
Well, there has been a fair bit of international reaction so far. I think the French ministry summed it up when they said that this election had taken place with repression, under the context of repression in civil society, no real freedom to vote, and more importantly, no real alternative candidates for other people to vote for. There were 3 other people on the ballot, but of course we're hearing that about 82% of people have voted for Vladimir Putin. That's where the repression in civil society comes in. The French ministry also said that they praised the many Russian people who peacefully protested against their attack on their fundamental rights. You know, thousands of people turned up to polling stations across Russia on Sunday to take part in a peaceful anti-Kremlin protest where the action was called Noon Against Putin, and those who oppose the leader went to their local polling station at noon on Sunday and spoiled their ballot papers. You had other people writing Alexei Navalny's name on their ballot papers as well across different embassies, at different embassies across the world. You had people protesting as well. Berlin, here in London, we did also have people protesting against the Russian election, which people simply feel was not fair and not free. Alexei Navalny's widow queued up to protest in Berlin. She wrote Alexei Navalny's name on her ballot paper also, whilst other people gathered at his grave for a symbolic protest.
All right, so Afia, what has Putin's response been to his sure win leading to his 5th term as president?
Well, this will come as absolutely no surprise to Vladimir Putin because he has put the measures in place to make sure that obviously he does win this and any other election. He will now be in power until 2030. And he's also made sure that he will be or can be in power for another 6 years until he's 78 years old. He recently changed the rules on the 2-term limit, could make the term longer to 6 years. So he's been in power since 2000 as president, except 4 years since he was prime minister. And, you know, he obviously is very, very pleased that he is still in power. He said that people have hope and trust in him. He's still talking about the special military operation, otherwise known as the war in Ukraine. But like I said, this will come absolutely no surprise to Vladimir Putin because he made sure he put the measures in place that he will rule for another 6 years.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Afia, for joining me and speaking on this. National Energy Regulator of South Africa, or NERSA's recent decisions in Eskom's unbundling signifies substantial progress in following Minister Gordhan's 2019 roadmap. These decisions entail transferring Eskom's responsibilities regarding power purchase agreements to the National Transmission Company of South Africa, enabling NTCSA to purchase electricity from independent power producers. Additionally, NTCSA will recover costs through tariff paid by clients. IPP's generation licenses will be amended, designating NTCSA as the purchaser of their electricity. Now, this shift marks a pivotal step in Eskom's transformation from a vertically integrated monopoly to a reformed electricity supply industry with separate subsidiaries for generation, transmission, and distribution, with transmission being the initial focus. And now in the world of sports, Super Eagles striker Taiwo Awoniyi has once again been ruled out of the international duties for Nigeria after Nottingham Forest manager Nuno Espirito Santo confirmed that he picked up an injury days before the club's English Premier League fixture against Luton Town. Now, according to several reports making the round, Awoniyi could be out until April, meaning that the player has been ruled out of Nigeria's friendlies against Ghana and Mali later this month. While the extent of the injury has not been confirmed, Espirito Santo admitted that the striker's injury was a huge blow for the City ground giants. Fisayodele Bashiru scores and also provided an assist in Hatayspor's 3-0 home win against Samsunspor in the Turkish Super League. It was Dele Bashiru's first goal since scoring in the 5-1 win in the Turkish Cup on 16th January 2024. Also, it is the 23-year-old's fifth goal in 28 league appearances this season. It is a much-needed win for struggling Hatayspor, who prior to Sunday's game had been winless in their last 6 games with 4 defeats, 2 draws. Dele Bashiru doubled his side's lead in the 89th minute before providing the assist for the third goal in the 92nd minute. Hatayspor move out of the relegation zone up to the 15th on 33 points in the league table. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that 87 people have been feared kidnapped in fresh attacks on Kaduna community. We also told you that South Africa police have arrested suspects behind blue light robberies. And finally, you heard that Kenyan authorities are set to go tough on people who disrupt President Ruto's rally. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.